This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com, featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slipcovers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. KFI AM 640, it is The Conway Show, and I don't know if you've seen any of these CEOs from Southwest Airlines or American Airlines or United Airlines. They're all saying they're going to have a banner summer. They may not have experienced anything like this in the history of aviation. Everybody's flying. Everybody's into getting out now because we're not in COVID. There's no COVID restrictions, and we're bumping credit cards, and we're getting out there and enjoying ourselves because you never know when it's going to be over. So cut to a Air India where the pilot, either the pilot or the co-pilot, shuts the gas, the gas to the fuel to the engines, causing it to crash, and only one guy survived. 250 or 260 people died, and now that freaks people out. And then the second one, with one previous to that, was the guy on the Alaska Airlines up in Washington or Oregon, where he tried to shut the engines off. So now, guess what? We have another thing to worry about. Are the two guys that we've always trusted in the cockpit or the flight deck? I don't think they use that term cockpit anymore. Or do we now have to look at them when we get on the plane and go and size them up and see how they're doing? What's he up to? What's she up to? I don't know. Now we got to be nervous about another effing thing in life. All right, Alex Stone is with us. Alex, I can't handle another thing to be nervous about.
Yeah, and in this case, it is the older captain. You know, you would look and be like, okay, he looks like he's got experience.
Right, but you don't know what he's going through. Maybe he was just discovered in a Coldplay kiss cam, and now he's done.
That's what I thought you were going to talk about when you said CEO. That is everywhere on social media right now.
You got to tell people what that is. I don't know astronomer. I don't know what that is.
I don't know, some tech company out of Boston, but that he was at a Coldplay concert with his mistress, and then the kiss cam came on as they were hugging, and Chris Martin on stage goes, well, I don't know, because then they jump out of the shot,
right.
And he says either they're having an affair or they're very shy. Turns out they're having an affair, and it's now gone viral everywhere, this video of these two cuddling, and then the kiss cam comes on them, and they break apart and kind of try to hide. And now his wife knows.
He had to want to have been caught. How the F are you at a concert like that with 50, 60,000 people and you're hugging during the kiss cam?
And she's the HR manager.
Right. They had, a lot of people don't know how to tell everybody that they're done with their marriage. So they do it in a spectacular way. And that's how he did it.
You go to Coldplay and then have Chris Martin suspect that you're cheating.
And all these social media has been wiped out. Hers, the wife's, everybody's gone now.
But that video is everywhere on Twitter right now.
Yeah, it is crazy. So we have to worry about now suicide and murders in the cockpit.
Yeah, so you remember a couple days ago we were talking about that it appeared somebody had on purpose turned off the 787's engines by cutting that fuel supply. These are two switches below the throttles. You've got to have intent to pull them out. They work independently. They don't work together. You pull them out. They're spring-loaded. You go around a metal gate into the other position to shut off the fuel. Same thing on a 737, 767, 777, and the 787. And so today, the Wall Street Journal, they've got sources telling them that on the cockpit voice recorder, it indicates it was the captain. We didn't know until now. We knew that it looked like that they had probably been manipulated by hand, but who was the one flying and who would have touched them? It appears it was the captain who turned off the engines right after liftoff. The first officer panicked. We understand heard on the recording asking the captain why he had shut off the fuel flow, and the captain was totally calm the whole way until the plane hit the ground and exploded. The plane said the captain said, I didn't do it, and it ended there. This is our aviation analyst, Steve Ganyard, saying.
We know that these switches didn't get bumped. We know that it was a deliberate action where you have to actually lift the switch and move it to the other position. It's not something that can be bumped from one position to another.
The captain was 56 years old, a veteran, over 8,000 hours of flying experience. The first officer was 32 years old, had 3,000, little over 3,000 hours. And in recent days, the pilots union in India and India's transport minister have been saying, look, none of this is confirmed yet. Everybody stop speculating that the captain committed murder-suicide because other things could have gone on in there. The transport minister saying,
I don't think we should jump into any conclusions on this. I truly believe we have the most wonderful workforce in terms of pilots and the crew in the whole world.
Today, Air
Except
India...
that guy.
Yeah, what's that?
Except that guy.
Yeah, except that one pilot. Today, Air India said that they have inspected every one of their Boeing aircraft, that they had wanted to make sure that this wasn't a switch problem and make sure that all the switches were working well. Now, again, these things work independently. So let's just say that one of these didn't work where you had to pull it out and do it and make a point out of doing it, and that it just got bumped out of position. Well, that would have shut down one engine. Unlikely that in a 1 second difference, the amount of time it takes a hand to do one of these and then do the other one, that they would have done them by themselves. But they checked all of these. They're fine, and there's no problem with the Boeing aircraft. So the airlines.
So they don't need to check the pilot, the planes. They need to check the pilots.
Yeah, well, and mental health is a big part of aviation now, like it is in law enforcement and in firefighting and everything else.
But you can't say anything because that's the end of your job.
That is the thing. So that Alaska Airlines pilot that you were talking about, who was accused of on that flight trying to reach up and turn off the engines on that plane, that he made the point quite openly, and his wife did too after all of that, saying that he had been going through a lot. He told police he had gone through a lot and lost a friend, but he could never say anything because if you say something, understandably so, immediately you would lose your wings and you weren't allowed to fly. I mean, you wouldn't want somebody flying knowing that they have a problem, but he said that was going to be the end of his career, that he, in the case of the Alaska Airlines pilot, he had wanted to be a pilot since he was a little boy and finally got to that point and then had some problems in life, and that would have been the end of his career. So it could come up in the annual physical that they've got to do where some mental health questions are asked, or another pilot saying, hey, this guy is exhibiting something, or a family member saying something. But a lot of pilots will tell you that no matter what they've got going on in their lives, that they're going to hide it in every way possible, not tell their doctor at their annual physical, their FAA-mandated physical, or show it at all in the cockpit. Remember years ago when there was a JetBlue pilot that had like the mental breakdown in flight and they got him out of the cockpit? Same sort of thing. Where
he was talking to himself.
Yeah. And yelling things as they got him out of there. That until it comes out in some spectacular way, like a lot of industries would be, it's hidden, and because they don't want to lose their job. And if you're a mainline airline pilot, at least in the U.S., you're making really good money. United, Delta, American, they can be making now $300,000 or $400,000 a year or more. Wow. That's a lot of money just to give up if they feel like that they've got a problem.
What is this? NBC in San Francisco has the names of the pilots. I'm going to hold off on these. I don't know if these are the names. I don't know. NBC in San Francisco doesn't have a great record.
Don't do the
names.
Asiana thing.
Yeah, that's these aren't the names. I'm going to pass on that. But I appreciate you coming on, and we will talk to you soon, bub.
You got it.
All right, thanks, man. Alex Stone. Now we got to worry about that. Got to worry about the guy sitting up in front, shutting the engines off, and we all plummet. Those are the guys you trusted the most. Those are the guys that walked through the cabin and you sat up straight when that guy came through, right?
When you were talking about it and then you jumped to the Coldplay guy, I was in the middle of doing something and I kind of came back in and I thought you were saying that was the same guy.
That's kind of what I thought too.
I thought that was the pilot that got caught, and that's why.
I was like, wait a minute.
What a story.
Yeah, right.
Get Alex back on. Let's go with that route. That's a better story. That's fantastic. Man, oh, man. We have to worry about everything now. Everything. The days of having those two guys or gals or guy and gal or whoever's up in front being the studs of the plane, being the caretakers of all the passengers, being the ones that we turn to when there's a problem, that's over. in a small part, that's over. And it sucks.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Bellio, I've got to ask you this because you are closer to sports than I ever was. Did the Espys exist when you were working with the Lakers?
I think so.
Yeah. Did anyone go or did anyone care?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
They care about the ESPN awards?
Yeah.
Really?
Why, is that shocking?
Yes, 100%.
They started in 1993.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay. But isn't that sort of some made up dumb idea for an award?
I don't think so. It's, recognizing athletic achievement. What's wrong with that?
Right. But isn't the ultimate goal for an athlete to win the Stanley Cup or the Super Bowl?
Yeah, their championship.
Isn't that what they'd rather have?
That is the 1,000%. But it's also nice to be recognized in other ways. I don't know what the categories are off the top of my head, but who doesn't like getting awards?
Yeah, I know, but I think athletes don't care about those awards.
I think they do.
Really?
Plus, it's a chance for them to, get all dressed up and.
Yeah, but I don't think they like that. I don't think, they want to.
They like that.
No, they want to go out and drink. They want to hang out with their old buddies. They want to get, chicks. That's their run.
But they do that and go to award shows, so they don't have to choose.
Okay.
You understand?
They get pretty decked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guarantee that the Super Bowl is more important, the World Series, NBA title, Stanley Cup. And for the college athletes in the audience, winning March Madness is more important. The national title in football, College World Series in baseball, it's all more important.
But like the Arthur Ashe Courage Award that the Espys give out, that's quite the accomplishment to be given that award.
Who won it?
A lot of people have won it, but I mean, it's for most significant or compelling humanitarian contribution. So a lot of athletes do give back. So this is a nice way to recognize that.
Okay. All right. That's but doesn't the NFL do that too?
I don't think so.
At the Super Bowl, don't they have the one guy that they call it the Gale Sayers Award or the big award
It's the Lamborghini Trophy.
No, that's the ultimate trophy.
Yeah,
but it's also not the Lamborghini trophy, but man, it's the Lombardi trophy. But you know what? I bet the Lamborghini trophy. I bet Lamborghini would love to sponsor that and change that to Lamborghini trophy.
I like that.
That'd be a good idea for them.
With something to work on.
I know, Stef Foosh, you're going to think I'm effing crazy, and you're going to S all over me. If you did sports, I would listen for 3 hours a day.
Me too. He should actually
3
start.
hours a day.
Skafoosh on sports.
That's right. And it could be his opening could be Skafoosh, where he's doing a tomahawk reverse slam dunk. And that's the sound effect you hear.
I love it.
Skafoosh on sports.
Love it.
Mets 3, Dodgers 3. Is it over? Yep, it ended about an hour ago. But I think that the ESPN awards, I think, it's like the Golden Mics, in radio. I don't think people really get up for that, But in television, they get up for the Emmys because that is their big award. In movies, it's the Oscars. That's their big award. They get up for that. And that's a huge thing. But winning the Oscar for Best Actor is like winning the Stanley Cup or the, World Series or Super Bowl. That's their Super Bowl. But the ESPN Awards, I don't know.
This is like a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? The sports industry.
Right.
And so it has grown into so many different areas. Of course they would want award shows.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that. I get why they want award shows. I just don't think that... Look, I saw the athletes sit on their hands last night through this.
Who'd you see? What you witnessed? Tell us.
I just watched Shane Gillis's opening.
What was wrong with it?
And he's a funny guy. I like him. But the audience, they're all looking at their watches. They want to get out of there. They don't want to sit there.
Maybe
they want to get to the drinking and the chicks.
Maybe the watches were like advertisers, and so they were just showcasing them. You ever think about product placement?
Okay. Shane Gillis was pretty funny. We'll come back and play a little of it of Shane Gillis for the Espys, the ESPN Awards, and the highlights from the ESPN Awards. And I'll show you in the recipients voices that they're just not into it. They'd much rather win a championship or get a big contract. That's what they're looking for. Or date Taylor Swift. I think that's even bigger.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com. Featuring Bay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Bay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slipcovers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
The Espys were last night, and Shane Gillis was the host. He's gotten mixed reviews. I think he's a very funny man, but some of the jokes may have been too edgy, may have gone over the heads of some of the athletes there. I get that. And we'll see what you think. Here we go. It's the highlights. Shane Gillis, best jokes from last night on the Espys.
The New York Knicks had a great season. Yeah, hell yeah. Karl Anthony Towns is here. Hey, girl. SGA is here. Give it up for SGA. Hell yeah, bro. And now everybody sitting around him is in foul trouble. Donald Trump wants to stage a UFC fight on the White House lawn. The last time he staged a fight in D.C., Mike Pence almost died. Actually, there was supposed to be an Epstein joke here, but as it got deleted.
That's pretty good. These are good jokes.
As it got deleted. Must have probably deleted itself, right? Probably never existed, actually. Let's move on as a country and ignore that. When Caitlin Clark retires from the WNBA, she's going to work at a Waffle House so she can continue doing what she loves most, fist-fighting black women. I didn't write this. Put your hands where my eyes can see is what they say when Deshaun Watson gets a massage. I disagree as well. I swear to God, I didn't want to tell it.
All right, and then some of the highlights from the ESPN Awards.
Last night, the biggest names in sports were honored at the Espys, and the GOAT herself, Simone Biles, took home not one but two trophies, Best Athlete in Women's Sports and Best Championship Performance for her 2024 Olympics all-around. Beat out Steph Curry, the Dodgers' Freddie Freeman, and Rory McIlroy.
Well, that was very unexpected, especially in a category of all men, so thank you guys so much.
And Savannah, was a big night for your Eagles. Saquon won best play for that iconic reverse hurdle, and the Birds took home the W for best team. Host Shane Gillis was certainly celebrating.
The Eagles are up for best team. Go Birds. Yep. And I bet you guys think, as an Eagles fan, that I'm going to trash all the other nominees, but far from it. I'm going to celebrate them. I think this race is wide open. It definitely is not obvious who the best team was this year. One of the nominees for best team is the Dallas Cowboys. No, I'm joking. Obviously, Dallas sucks. Go Birds. Obviously not.
Man, I tell you, Crozier, you get banged on a lot with Stephen A. Smith and people making fun of those Cowboys. It never ends.
Keep talking, guys. There's a reason that you're talking about them, right? Because if they weren't worth anything or they weren't worth talking about, you wouldn't, right?
Where do you think the hatred of that team comes from? The owner?
Success.
Success?
Yeah. They're the most popular team, sports team on the planet. They're also the most hated, but they are the most popular team on the planet.
Success breeds hate.
Yeah, I'll have to give you that. They've not done anything in 30 years.
You're absolutely right, but people keep talking about them.
It is amazing. I mean, the run that you can go on and not win a championship, and yet still everyone talks about them.
It's hilarious to me. It's like, boy, they're still in your head, aren't they?
They are. I mean, look, Chicago Blackhawks had a nice run back in the late, 2010s, right around that area. And then they haven't done anything since, like the LA Kings. And people just stopped talking about them.
Yeah.
But nobody stops talking about the Cowboys.
In 1991 to the season that they won their first Super Bowl in like 15 years, I remember being at the Christmas party, the KFI Christmas party way back in the day, and there was some sports guy there. He was talking smack, and for some reason, he was talking smack about the Cowboys. And I said, "You better watch him." And he goes, "Ha, ha, ha, losers!" And they won the Super Bowl that year.
Oh, is that right?
Keep talking,
that's
dude.
Great, dude.
Yeah, so I enjoy people talking because at some point, you're going to have to shut up.
That's great. All right, a lot of people flying. We talked to Alex Stone earlier, and I know you're nervous about it, but you may not have to take your shoes off anymore. It's funny, we flew from Burbank to Portland. I'd take my shoes off in Burbank, but not in Portland. I don't know, maybe they have better equipment in Portland. But now you might be able to bring on a little more liquid than, 3 ounces or 3.5 ounces when you travel.
When Kristi Noem became Homeland Security Secretary, she said she came in and wanted to look at everything TSA does and question everything that TSA does. She removed that shoe requirement, as you mentioned, and now she says she's considering the liquids and gel requirement that all passengers must adhere to. Here's the Secretary.
Liquids, I'm questioning, so that may be the next big announcement is what size your liquids need to be. We have put in place in TSA a multi-layered screening process that allows us to change some of how we do security and screening, so it still is safe.
Okay, Bellio, I don't know if you remember this. You might be too young, but when I was a kid,
I'm sure it was.
You really are. You're a child. You're a child.
Just a baby.
But when I was a kid, there were no metal detectors at airports. Do you remember that? Probably not.
I don't.
Okay. When I was a kid, nobody had to investigate anything that was in your luggage. They just trusted you were on the up and up. And your luggage went on board, and there was no security check between your car and getting on the plane. Nothing. It was just they would take the tickets and look at you, and that's it. And you could get on the plane. There was not a single scan of any luggage, any carry-on, any pockets. You'd have to take everything out, your belt off, your shoes, your hat, your socks, none of that. And to the point where, how about this? I remember this distinctly. My grandparents, when we would stay with them in Cleveland, we'd go June, July, and August and spend 3 months with them in Cleveland every year. And if I ever write a thank you note or hold a door open for somebody, I learned it there in the Midwest. And they would take us to the airport when we left. And it was always a very emotional time because, we're leaving the 2 greatest people in the world and coming home to the hysterics of the Redbird, which is my mom. And she really laid the law down when we got home. On the way home from the airport, when we landed at LAX, she would give us the speech, "You're not in Cleveland anymore. You're not with your grandparents anymore.
Whoa.
You're going to straighten up." It was a really an eye opener. But when my grandparents would drop us off at the airport or take us to the airport, they would make sure we got to the gate, and they would make sure that we got to our seats. So they would walk on the plane with us.
Yeah, I remember that was allowed.
That was allowed.
Yeah.
And then I remember the door shutting, and my grandparents were still on the plane. And they had to open the door up
really?
to take my grandparents off the plane. And we were like, "No, keep it closed. Keep it closed. They got to come with us." But it was a very easy way to travel. With 6 kids, if traveling with 6 kids through, TSA has got to be a nightmare.
Yes.
But back then, it was a better time, man. Much easier time. Much, much easier. But now, your liquids, you might be able to bring a couple gallons of, water or what is that stuff you drink? That Pellegrino?
Yeah.
Yeah, that Pellegrino.
Well,
Pellegrino is back.
Well, you may remember that this liquids and gel requirement is for 311, 3.4 ounces or less, or must be in a single plastic carry-on bag that you can have. Bottom line is, Kristi Noem says they want to move forward with testing the equipment to test for potentially liquid explosives. And this decision is not going to be imminent. It could be months, maybe even longer away before that technology is in place, but they're looking at it.
Okay. All right. When we come back, if you're a slot player, you love slot machines in Las Vegas, there was something that was tucked away in the big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump signed that I was unaware of as a big slots player. And my friends who also like to gamble were unaware of this. But when we come back, I'm going to tell you what it is. If you love slot machines. So call Michelle Cube. Bellio, and have her tune in. I know she's a big slots player, but she's going to enjoy this. Something was tucked into that bill specifically for people who like to play slot machines.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com. Featuring Bay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Bay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slipcovers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
And by the way, this weather outside over the last couple of days and for the rest of the week is spectacular. Whether you live near the coast or in the desert area, it's not 114 degrees. It really is terrific. The big, beautiful bill that was signed by Donald Trump, and there was a deal in there for slot machine players. And a lot of people don't know this. I didn't know this until I looked it up. But right now, when you hit on a slot machine and it is $1,200 or more, then they're gonna stop the machine and you're gonna have to do what they call a hand pay. I don't really get many of those, but I've seen them. I've seen them downtown. They come by, they stop the machine, and you have to fill out a tax form, and then they give you the money. Some casinos actually keep 20% of your winnings and then give it to the IRS. Because a lot of guys who are in the machines also owe money to the IRS. And they will file that with the IRS so the IRS knows that you won at least $1,200 on that machine. So it's kind of a bummer if you're drinking, you're having a good time, and then you got to stop your fun because you got to wait for some guy who's completely disinterested in his job to come out and give you your $1,200. Sometimes it takes 45 minutes, and you have to sit there for 45 minutes. You're on pause, and you got to wait for this guy to come back, and he gives you the $1,200, and now you feel like you got to duke him, a 20 or a, 15, 50, whatever it is. If you're buzzed, maybe you give him $100. I don't know, but and then you start playing your slot machine again, and maybe you hit another one for $1,300. Time to stop again. But the second time they have your information, it's a little quicker, but it's still it's not ideal. Okay, so the limit was $1,200. So in this big, beautiful bill, the OBBBA, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that Donald Trump signed, it increases the reporting threshold for winning. The tax reporting threshold for slot machine winnings has increased from $1,200 to $2,000, which is still far lower than the casinos want. The casino's been fighting forever to put that number and to cement it in at $5,000, which would be great. That the IRS doesn't know anything you won below $5,000, that would be a slam dunk. But here's the problem with this bill. They reduced deduction for gambling losses. The bill has lowered the deduction for gambling losses against winnings. It used to be 100%. You could write off 100% of your winnings, and that's why they track you at casinos. So if you're ever audited, you can call Morongo or MGM or whatever casino you won at, and they would give you a readout of how much money you've spent and try to help you with the IRS. But now that it's not going to be 100%, it's going to be 90%. That means gamblers effectively pay taxes on 10% of their losses. So you could actually spend money and get taxed even though you didn't win. And so there's one positive aspect where the threshold went from 1,200 to 2,000, but now you're on the hook. You cannot write off 100% of your gambling, only 90% max. So you might actually owe money on money that you never had. And it's going to be fairly complicated. So if you are a gambler and you do spend any time at casinos, try to get yourself an account that understands this, because it's going to be a pain in the ass for guys who like to slide in there. All right, we got somewhat breaking news that Bellio just gave me here. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is over. It's going to end May of next year. Colbert and CBS have announced on Thursday, that's today, the company said that it will retire The Late Show. That franchise will go away. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert will end his historic run in May of next year. So we have about 10 months left on this deal. And end the broadcast season. The company said in a statement, we consider Stephen Colbert irreplaceable and will retire The Late Show. And that franchise will go away. It'll never come back. And it says we are proud of Stephen and how he called CBS home. And it's purely a financial decision against a challenging backdrop of late night. Okay, what they're not saying on this piece of paper is that he killed his show. He wiped it out. You cannot watch that show unless you also hate Donald Trump. And so it's a smaller audience. You know, when you could never tell what Johnny Carson's politics were. You never knew what his politics were. I think at the end it was revealed that he was more conservative than he was liberal, but you could never tell on his show which way he was leaning. He did jokes about presidents, and it doesn't matter who was in office, he did jokes about him. But with Stephen Colbert, every single night, it's he hates Donald Trump, and his whole audience does too. When Stephen A. Smith showed up the other night and he made a comment about Donald Trump, the audience went nuts. And so he reduced that audience to a mere 5-6% of the country. Who I understand if you don't like Donald Trump, but you have to hate Donald Trump to watch that show. And if you didn't, then the show didn't work for you. And he killed that show. So all those people that worked on that show and were making a living, he couldn't control himself and had to bang on Trump every night. And now all those people are going to be out of work. All the cameramen, all the writers, the wardrobe, the lighting guy, the producers, the segment producers, the band, the music, all those guys are out of a job because he couldn't control himself. He couldn't separate himself and just do a comedy show every night. It had to be F Trump. And he destroyed the show, and all those salaries, all those are going away. If he was successful and he opened it up a little, he would still be on the air. But he didn't, and he wiped him out. That's how a lot of people see it. All right, we're live. It's Conway Show live on KFI AM 640.
This Labor Day, say goodbye to spills, stains, and overpriced furniture with WashableSofas.com. Featuring Anabay, the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly pricing. Sofas start at just $6.99, making it the perfect time to upgrade your space. Anabay's pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and interchangeable slipcovers are made with high-performance fabric built for real life. You'll love the cloud-like comfort of hypoallergenic, high-resilience foam that never needs fluffing, and a durable steel frame that stands the test of time. With modular pieces, you can rearrange anytime. It's a sofa that adapts to your life. Now through Labor Day, get up to 60% off site-wide at WashableSofas.com. Every order comes with a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping, no restocking fees, every penny back. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.